All right, the Bucks. It is Talking Buccaneers with me, Fumane, and in keeping with the last two episodes, I'm going to talk about midfielders again. In keeping with the last episode, I'm going to come to you with more transfer news. As you will have seen from the title, Ben Motswari of Orlando Pirates has been linked with Amazulu FC. This is according to an article that I read by Sokala Duma. And yeah, in the article in question, it has been made clear that there has not been an official bid yet by Amazulu to Orlando Pirates. However, there's a source, close to Orlando Pirates who has revealed that Amazulu have inquired about Ben Motswari and his services, his availability for Amazulu. And yeah, I guess what I want to do is I do want to touch on a bit of a personal side to Ben Motswari and just what that means for Orlando Pirates going forward. But before I get to that, it is no secret that Amazulu are in for a midfielder. It does state in the article, which maybe I'll link in the description below for you guys to check it out and read it for more details. But yeah, it does state that Amazulu have not yet replaced Makehleni Makaula ever since selling him to Orlando Pirates in the January of this year. So it's no secret that they're in the market. We know that they wanted to sign Smongseni Mthethwa, who's linked with Orlando Pirates at the moment. And yeah, so they're in the market. They're looking for a midfielder. I know there's another midfielder that was stated in that article. I think it was Njangase, whom they also want as well. And they're eyeing Ben Motswari as well. So they're obviously not secretive about being in the market for a new midfielder. And yeah, just, Ben Motswari's side, personal side for him, I think this would be a good move. I think, I don't know in terms of moving to a new city. I'm sure he'd say whatever that he'd say, on his personal side. But I think at a footballing personal level, this is what I'm talking about. I think it's a good move for him. Ben Motswari is born in the year 1991, which makes him 33 years old this year. So this is his 33rd year. And, it's quite sad to see how he has sort of dwindled in terms of importance in the Orlando Pirates squad. This is not in terms of, being an influential player in the dressing room and things like that. I just mean on the pitch. We all know it's no secret that he has lost favor with the coach in terms of footballing. I think the coach might say that he loves Ben, he loves his personality. Orlando Pirates have made that clear by extending his contract when he did not play so much last season. He was offered a new contract this past window. At the end of his contract in the last season, he was offered a renewal of 1 year at Orlando Pirates, which kind of states and shows what Orlando Pirates wants to say about the player, what they think of the player, rather. And which is, they obviously love to have him around the place, whether it be for depth, whether it be in the dressing room. That's something I cannot answer because I'm not in that dressing room. And I'm not in those board meetings, but we know that they wanted to keep him at Orlando Pirates for one reason or another. But it is also known that he has fallen out of favor footballing-wise. He doesn't play so much. Even when, you think that some people are not available here or there, he's still very much low in that pecking order of who's going to take the place of Tim when he's not available, Munari and things like that. And yeah, so I think it would be a good move for him, moving over to Amazulu. It is a move that comes at the age of 33. Really in South African terms, yes, 33 is a bit advanced in terms of age, but I think you've got a lot of examples around the league of people at that age still playing at a high level. I'm thinking of Kamohelo Mkocho at Sekhukhune, who's doing really well over there and is a key player for them. You don't have to go very far. At Orlando Pirates, you've got people like Tabang Munari, who's 2 years older than Ben Motswari, and Tim, who's only a year younger than, Ben Motswari. And then you go to Sundowns, obviously the legendary Tembazwane over there is around the same age group, maybe even 2 years older, I beg your pardon, than Ben Motswari. And yeah, sorry, he's playing over there, doing well. So really 33 is not so advanced in years. There's a lot of examples of people still playing at that age. So I'd love for Ben to go over there and play over there. I think mostly because of what it means for Pirates and also because of what it means for him. I remember just him being a key cog in the midfield of Orlando Pirates. If you think about that MTN 8 win in 2020, back when the head coach was Joseph Tsinbauer, he was key in that midfield. Ben Motswari alongside Tabang Munari. They were the two that were playing in midfield for us, and people like Ntsako Makhubela and so forth and so forth couldn't get a place because of how key he was in our midfield. And I think it's been so sad to see how his career has gone since then to now, him having fallen down the pecking order. I don't know what the conversation would have been with him when the contract was renewed in June when it recently expired. I don't know what the conversation would have been from Orlando Pirates and Ben Motswari's representatives, whether more playing time was promised, whether a different kind of role had been promised for him, whether the package in terms of financial is what made sense to the player, considering other options, and then looking at the package that Orlando Pirates might have offered. Maybe that's what made sense, because it is a reality. As much as we like to shy away from it, soccer players do make decisions based on the financial side of things, and why shouldn't they? We all make decisions every day, financially and things like that. And especially when you get to those years in your career, when you get to the 30s, you start to think about life after football. And he's within right to make decisions. If staying at Pirates is something that he would have thought, financially this makes sense, then for me to be a free agent and then struggle to get teams, which we see all the time, or struggle to find a team that will compensate him in a way that he deems appropriate, or just in what he thinks he needs at this point of his life. And so I don't know what the conversation will have been with Orlando Pirates, what the reason for extending his contract will have been, but it seems like right now, according to the article, there is an interest from Amazulu, and I think Amazulu is not one of those teams where you think they struggle financially. I think they're doing quite okay. All things considered, I think he'd go over there and be compensated really okay. For him, it's just about what he thinks, what he wants now. If he wants to play more football, then I think it would be a good move. But mostly now, what I want to kind of get to is it possible that the reason why Orlando Pirates have kind of revived? In yesterday's episode, I spoke about, I'll link it up here and in the description, I spoke about Orlando Pirates being linked with Sibongiseni Mthethwa. And is it possible that maybe the reason that Pirates have suddenly, because one of the questions I asked at the end of that episode is why is it so suddenly that Pirates are in for Mthethwa after a few games of him playing some really good stuff against us in our match against Stellenbosch? And it could be that, we can sit here and speculate, and that's what we do as football fans. But it could be that they're already thinking about the replacement. Now, I said, because I was interacting with a few people in the comment section on yesterday's video, and a few ideas sparked in my mind that I think this is a transfer, Sibongiseni Mthethwa's transfer, is a transfer that is a year ahead of schedule. I think what Orlando Pirates are looking at is that you've got Makehleni Makaula's contract, which is expiring in a few months, in 10 months, in June, around 10 months, 9 months now maybe. But in June 2024, you've got Makehleni's contract, which is expiring, and you've got Ben Motswari's contract, which is expiring, which means that you will have to replace two players at that time. And so the logic might be from Orlando Pirates, okay, Mosele will come back, which is somewhat of a replacement of one of those players. And then you've got to replace one of them so that you still maintain the number of bodies in that position of number 6. So then maybe Orlando Pirates is thinking, let's get, if they have identified Sibongiseni Mthethwa as possibly the best defensive midfield in the market. So I'm not saying the best defensive midfield in the league, don't get me wrong. I'm saying in the market, of the defensive midfielders that are available in the market right now. If Orlando Pirates have identified him as the best one, who's currently 29 years old right now, then he's obviously, you know, he obviously might not be available in a year's time, because there's obviously interest from Amazulu. There's interest from Kaizer Chiefs as well, apparently. And so maybe Pirates is thinking, you know what, let's move what would have been 2024's midfield rebuild, which seems like it's going to have to happen, the midfield rebuild, looking at the age of our midfield. So maybe they are thinking, let's get it a year ahead of schedule. And we're going to loan out Siphelelo Paloni to go and play at Stellenbosch over there, get some minutes, get some experience, which is going to be valuable for him. And then get Mthethwa coming this side, which is going to be the replacement, which would have to do next year, where he'd be 30 years old. Let's get him in. He's still 29, and maybe offer him a 3-year contract, which is what Pirates does usually, is offer players 29 years old, and especially around, they offer players 3-year contracts, and especially around that age of 29 or so. I think it's a less risky amount of years to offer these players. Different conversation around younger players, around what duration should they offer to the players, because it says to me, when you offer a 24-year-old a 3-year contract, is that you don't want to risk. And then I'd ask the question about what due diligence have you done in terms of, you know, your scouting and your recruitment. If you think this is the player you want to get in, why don't you take that risk of giving him a 5-year contract, making sure you tie him down? But I'm sure there's processes to these things, there's policies, you know, there's a transfer policy in every club, and maybe that's the policy at Pirates, is that they give medium-term contracts, they don't give long contracts, they don't give short contracts, maybe short contracts to older players, but these younger players, they give around 3 years. We've seen that a lot of the time, maybe with the option to extend. And if that's the plan, then giving Mthethwa 3 years, it means that at the end of his contract, he'll be 32 years old, which is what Tim will be in January. And then you've got then an opportunity to consider whether you want to extend him for an extra year, which is what has been happening with people like Munari for a while now, where at the end of his deal, he'll get a 1-year extension, and then at the end of his deal, they'll negotiate another 1-year extension. So I think it makes sense in that regard to bring, you know, next year's rebuild ahead of schedule, ahead of time, bring Mthethwa in, loan out Paloni, who seems like he'll sit at the bench at Pirates right now. So you want to loan him out, let him get that experience like Saleng and other players who went out, you know, in their mid-20s to go and get an experience in the DStv Premiership, come back as someone who's more experienced and ready to challenge for a place in the midfield. When Paloni comes back, maybe we might have 2 players who will be shifted out in Makaula and Motswari, and I don't want to speak of them in those terms, but it is a reality that I don't see a world in which Makaula gets extended for an extra year, which will keep him at the club until he's 36 years old. This is not to say he will not play football until he's 36, but I think at Pirates, I don't see him playing until then, especially considering that there are 4 other people of around the same age group. So I do think that Pirates will want to trim at least 2 of those people, which I think the first one is Motswari, who maybe is thinking himself, his representatives are thinking that maybe this is the right time. If Amazulu do offer something that they can accept, and Pirates, I think, will not hesitate to take it, especially thinking they're going to free up that one body to be able to bring in Mthethwa. I mean, you know, it sort of seems like it is aligned, the jersey number 6, things like that. Mthethwa wearing the number 6 at Stellenbosch. So maybe Pirates' interest in Mthethwa is because they know what's happening, they know what the plan is, they know that Motswari is about to leave for Amazulu. But it's just speculation. This is me just speculating, thinking about these things. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm mad again? Do you think I'm insane? Do you think it's a good idea to sell Motswari, who just recently extended his contract? Do you think it's a good idea? And what does that say about the whole planning and things like that around recruitment and things like that for the season? If Pirates is going to extend a player now and then sell him, 2 months after they just extended him for a year, and then bring in a player so late into the transfer window whom it seems like they knew they wanted but did not make that effort to want to. We know that Pirates wanted a midfielder because of the whole Batusi Albas thing. So it's just, a lot of questions that I have around recruitment and things like that. But what do you guys think? Make sure to leave it in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching. Until the next episode, up the Mighty Bucks. Cheers. I know you're craving some more of Talking Buccaneers content. Well, I have great news for you. If you hit that subscribe button right now, you'll stay up to date with all our future content.